The observation deck of the Zixera hummed with its usual sterile efficiency, a symphony of beeps and chirps that had become background noise to the crew over their 3 cycles of deep space patrol. Commander Velkoth, a Thoraxian whose crystalline exoskeleton refracted the dim blue lighting into prismatic patterns, monitored the sensor arrays with 4 of his 6 eyes, while the remaining 2 reviewed supply manifests. Everything changed in an instant. Every warning system on the bridge erupted simultaneously. Klaxons wailed, holographic displays flashed crimson, and the ship's AI began its emergency protocol broadcast in 17 languages. Velkoth's mandibles clacked in alarm as his entire crew snapped to attention. "Report," he commanded, his translator converting his chittering into standard galactic common. "Massive energy spike detected on the human vessel." Lieutenant Chixara shrieked from her station, her gelatinous form quivering with genuine terror. "Power readings are off the scale. They're at 70% capacity and climbing. Shields up, battle stations," Velkoth ordered. The humans were new to the Galactic Council, barely a decade since first contact, and their reputation was unsettling. They came from a Death World, a planet that the initial survey team had classified as uninhabitable for sentient life, until they discovered the humans thriving there, violent, unpredictable, and disturbingly resilient. The human transport vessel Persistence, a bulky cargo hauler on a routine supply run to the Orion outpost, hung in space a mere 1,000 kilometers away. It had been traveling peacefully for days. Now, apparently, it was powering weapons systems that the Thoraxians hadn't even known it possessed. "Sir, their reactor output is at 90%. Another officer called out. "That's impossible for a cargo vessel. They must have military-grade systems concealed in their hull." Velkoth's emergency training took over. "Open all channels. Demand they power down immediately. Prepare evasive maneuvers." On the view screen, the Persistence loomed larger as the Zixera adjusted its position. To Velkoth's 3 primary eyes, the human ship looked like a predator coiling before a strike. "No response to hails. Commander, weapons hot." "Negative, sir, but—" Chixara paused, her pseudopods trembling as she consulted her instruments. "Sir, the energy isn't concentrated at any weapons port. It's diffused, spreading throughout the entire ship." "Diffused?" Velkoth's confusion lasted only a moment before a more terrifying possibility occurred to him. "By the first crystal. Are they overloading their reactor? Are they attempting a suicide run?" The bridge fell silent save for the screaming alarms. Everyone knew what humans were capable of when cornered. Their history was filled with tales of last stands, of warriors who chose death over surrender. Some species whispered that humans were the galaxy's most accomplished practitioners of mutually assured destruction. "Get the Council on subspace now. Tell them we may have a rogue human vessel about to sir." The communications officer, a Brenthian with sensor stalks that drooped in distress, interrupted. "We're receiving a transmission. Audio only. It's casual in tone. Put it through." Static crackled, then a distinctly human voice filled the bridge. Relaxed and slightly confused. This is Captain Samuel Chen of the Persistence. We're picking up some weird distress signals from your ship. Everything okay over there?" Velkoth stared at the view screen. "Human vessel, your power systems have spiked to critical levels. Explain immediately." There was a pause. Then laughter, actual laughter, came through the speakers. Sorry, didn't mean to spook anyone. Christine, that's my engineer, who's been complaining about the artificial gravity in the cargo hold. Said it was making her back tight after we loaded all that Thoraxian crystal substrate. Heavy stuff, you know. What does that have to do with? So I just went down there and cranked up the gravity dampeners to give her spine some relief while she worked. Guess I turned them up a bit high. Really loosens up those knots, you know. Nothing like good strong gravity massage. Velkoth felt his internal fluids freeze. "You manually adjusted your gravity systems?" "Yeah, I mean, it's just a couple of dials." Christine's back was killing her from hauling all those containers. She was scratching it against the bulkhead like a Barzari. That's an Earth predator looked painful. So I figured, why not adjust the localized gravity field to give her some relief? We humans do it all the time on long hauls. The Thoraxian commander looked at his science officer, who had gone completely pale, an impressive feat for a being whose skin was naturally translucent. "Commander," the science officer whispered, "to generate the kind of gravity fluctuation that would register on our sensors as a power spike, they would need to be manipulating gravitational fields at a precision that our most advanced medical facilities can't achieve. And he's saying they do it casually, for back pain." Another voice came through the transmission, feminine and cheerful. "Hey, Samuel, thanks for the adjustment. My back feels great now. Oh, are we talking to the Thoraxian patrol? Hi there. Sorry if we startled you. Sam's always fiddling with the gravity when I complain. Last week he set it to 0 G in the galley because I mentioned my shoulders were sore. Made cooking interesting. Christine's laughter echoed through the bridge. Their gravity technology, ... Chixara muttered, reviewing her readings. They're manipulating it like we adjust air temperature. The control required, the power management. Velkov slowly reached forward and silenced the alarms. The bridge descended into an eerie quiet. Captain Chen, he said carefully, you manually adjusted your ship's gravitational fields to scratch your engineer's back. Well, more like massage it. But yeah, basically. Is that a problem? We're not violating any council regulations, are we? The Thoraxian commander thought about the gravitational stabilizers on his own ship, massive temperamental machines that required a team of specialists to adjust even minutely. He thought about the medical bays that charged fortunes for low-grade gravity therapy. He thought about the human death world, with its crushing gravity that would flatten most species, and how humans had not only survived it but had apparently learned to play with gravity itself like a child's toy. No, Volkov said finally. No violations. Carry on. Persistence. Great. Hey, if you guys ever need tips on gravity field manipulation, Christine's your girl. She's got a whole setup for different muscle groups. Humans figured this stuff out centuries ago. Pretty basic, really. The transmission ended. The bridge remained silent. Then, slowly, every member of the crew turned to look at their commander. Make a note, Velkov said quietly. File it under Human Capabilities Assessment. Title, They Weaponized Comfort. Recommendation, never, under any circumstances, threaten a human ship. If they can do that for back pain, imagine what they can do when they're actually trying. As the Persistence resumed its journey, its crew blissfully unaware of the existential crisis they'd caused, Velkov settled back into his command chair. The galaxy, he reflected, was a much more terrifying place than he'd realized that morning, and somewhere in the Persistence, a human named Christine was probably stretching contentedly, completely oblivious to the fact that she'd just become the subject of a dozen classified military reports. Humanity, indeed.